Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew this side of a good time in citation ops. What's going on? Captain Hawk is here and is done with the nice, as Jankum said in this episode. Sub Commander Giraffe is here, would totally be the one to say some mistakes were made.
As usual.
As usual. And Commander MC is here already thinking up a fanfic of the Doctor being aboard the Cerritos.
I've written it already?
It's already been written. I know. Every time I say that, that's how we do it. I'm going to ask how everybody's doing in a second, but also joining us on our view screen tonight, our dear friend, the voice of the computer on Prodigy, and now Gillian the Whale as well. Bonnie Gordon, welcome back to Strange New Pod. It has been way too long.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Woo, here I am.
Yay.
I did it.
You're here. You did it. You showed up. Okay, you can go now. Bye.
Bye. That's a wrap, everybody.
That was fun.
That's a wrap. That was a good show. No. I want to get just right into it because it's been a whirlwind couple of years, right? With Prodigy being renewed and then dropped by Paramount to then having the Netflix announcement and now finally everyone raving. Like, I don't think there's been a single bad word about Prodigy season 2.
It's
Raving,
insane.
enjoying. Yeah, it's absolutely wild. How does it feel to see just all the love the show is getting right now?
Well, everybody, the creators of the show, the writers' room, the artists, the cast, like everybody had put so much heart and soul and like blood, sweat, and tears. Not literally, that would be not very hygienic. Yeah. Probably a health hazard. But no, everyone's put so much into it and so much love into it. And, when it got canceled, we were just all just going, what? Especially, when Paramount was so big on saying it was like the home of all Star Trek. We're like, all Star Trek except Prodigy. It's like, how do you ditch the redheaded stepchild of the Trek world, and just toss us under a bus for a tax write-off? So it was sad. But the Hagemans weren't worried. So then I wasn't worried because I was like, okay, obviously they have a plan. They didn't, but they had hopes. They knew how good the show was. They knew how good it was. And so I think they were like, it's going to find a home. It's going to find a home. And then, when the strike happened, I'm thinking to myself, how stupid is Paramount right now? Because they would have had a show completely done, ready to go, new content, bam.
I feel like we talked about that on the pod at some point during the strike. It's like, yeah, you got to be looking a little silly right now. Yeah, that was wild.
They had a full show ready to go. But, their loss is Netflix's gain. And, and in all honesty, it might be even a blessing in disguise. I feel like a lot more families have access to Netflix than they do Paramount Plus. And, watching the reaction of people discovering it, and especially families and watching it with their kids, and then the reviews and the love for it has been just phenomenal. So I feel like everything happens for a reason, and this, who knows, maybe the Traveler was pulling some strings behind the veil, I should say, and
the tapestry.
The tapestry.
Oh.
But yes, I love that I get to play, one of the first real Starfleet officers that we see in Citation Ops.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Lower Decks touched on it a little bit with the dolphins and whatnot, but I do love that, we get a full character.
Yeah.
And what I loved about recording her was that the computer, they said, well, basically you're her voice, yes, but it's just, you're being translated. You're just the computer as the universal translator. So when we were recording, I had gotten through a few lines like, hello, how are you? Anything for you, Rock Talk. And, like that, just like the basic computer, like, hello and welcome, your exits are here, here, and here. I'm in a tank. I thought to myself, well, if her voice is song, like whale song, wouldn't the translator almost commute that with a slight melody? And that's how, and I was in the booth and I go, I have an idea. It's kind of weird. And what I love about, the Hagemans and Brooke, the voiceover director, is that they were just, they were really open to creative ideas and play. So they were like, give it a shot, let's try it. So then it turned into like, hello, how are you? Anything for you, rock talk, So it had a slight melody to it, not too much. I didn't want it to be like an actual song, but so when, with the coordinates and the numbers and the letters are being called out, like FMINTE, like the letters are being called out, I made sure they all sounded slightly different, as if it's like ooh, like a whale singing. So I really loved that they let me play with that. Yeah,
That's awesome.
and it's in major key. And then I don't know, am I allowed to say spoilers on this?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever they have that scene in the Mirrorverse, in the mirror universe, and they're in Cetacean Ops, and she gives their location away with one of the best lines. Even the whales are evil. When I go like, "All hail the Terran Empire," whatever I say.
Oh, that line was so good.
But I tried to make it in a slight minor key. I'm not sure if it came across as that, but I tried to make it like in a slight minor key, so it came off as a little bit more menacing. But again, we took a couple takes of it, so I don't know if the take of the minor keys is that the one they use. I don't know. I gotta go back and listen.
I'll
Like,
have
was
to
that
listen
that
to it. That's
minor?
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted to be like, now she's doing it, and
Yeah.
listen to that dissonance. But no, I loved getting to play around with that. And also, I'm gonna have merchandise at Star Trek Las Vegas, and on my website I have new merch, and I just added to the store a red shirt with the Terran Empire symbol, and it says, "Even the whales are evil."
That's
on it.
amazing.
Because I was like, what do I do with this quote? It's just too good. I'm like, I gotta do it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So hopefully,
Nice. Yeah. No, we don't need to talk about that.
We'll fix it in post. Cut.
Yeah, right. MC.
So we're going to be talking about the Observer's Paradox, where we
Oh,
get
yes.
to add Gillian the Whale to your list, as well as later this season, Mirror Gillian. So how fun was it to have done that as a fan? And of course, Gillian being a love letter to the voyage home.
So Star Trek: A Voyage Home is my favorite Star Trek film. Even though
That's a good choice.
you can praise Wrath of Khan, you can praise all of them. All of them are good. They all have the qualities of a great sci-fi film. For some reason, A Voyage Home to me just, it's so campy. When you go from something like Wrath of Khan that was just so intense and so like dramatic and such, has like the stakes are so high, and then you go, then you're like, oh God, search for Spock, and bringing Spock back, and him being all combubulated. Yeah,
Discombobulated. Yeah, I like that.
I prefer
Yeah.
combubulated.
Don't ask me.
yes.
I don't know.
Combubulated.
Either way.
Yeah. Whatever I say, my way's the right way.
That's
Yes.
right.
Just kidding.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, and that's the case. The dictionary needs to be rewritten because I miss up all the words. Anyway, A Voyage Home, it's so campy and so fun, yet while telling great sci-fi and wonderful storytelling, and the interactions between like Spock and Bones, and everything about that movie I just love. And so the fact that I get to play a character that's kind of the love letter to that film in particular makes me super happy, because it's my favorite Star Trek film. And also, everyone always like jokes about, Cetacean Ops, we never see it, and to finally get to not only see it but like be a real part of it, and like have it be such a part of Prodigy's storyline, makes me super happy. And again, that's all the writers' room and the Hageman brothers doing what they do best, which is making all the fans happy by putting in all the Easter eggs and all the storytelling, and making sure everyone leaves happy.
We talked about it just a few minutes ago. It's just insane, like how universally loved this season is. Like you're talking about how like the Hagemans like want to make everybody happy. It's just, I seriously have not seen a single bad comment. It's just such an especially those back 10 episodes, it's just so widely regarded. I think like people are going to talk about this season as perhaps like in top 3 seasons of Star Trek. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's been so wonderful seeing the reviews, seeing people like posting on Rotten Tomatoes, the articles that are coming out, and what I love about it too is that it's giving a lot of the fans who kind of didn't really give Prodigy the chance it deserved with season 1, especially, if you watch a couple episodes, 1 or 2 episodes, a lot of people watch like the pilot or, 1 or 2 episodes and just kind of like, this is not for me, and put it on a shelf. And now that the reviews for season 2 are coming out, they're all going back to season 1 and giving it a chance. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, give it a chance. Get to episode 6. Get to Time a Monk. Get to the Kobayashi Maru episode. I guarantee you'll start forgetting that it's animated. And, they all push it aside because it was, advertised as a kid's show. And really, it's a family show. And it's a Star Trek show. Not only, it's such a great introduction to Trek, to not just kids, but to people who've never seen Star Trek, who kind of want to give it a chance. People who just, maybe they know Star Trek, but they're not huge fans of it, but they like sci-fi. Like there's something in it for everyone. I talk with my hands a lot, and
me
I see
too.
I see my reflection in the mirror behind me, and I'm just like, I feel like a Muppet. I'm just like, woo.
Oh, amazing.
Like Kermit.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the hand motions I'm moving are is below the camera, but I'm looking in the mirror going, I am a wacky Muppet here.
Everybody should be more like Kermit.
Yeah,
I
the Red
agree.
Bull is really hitting me.
Good.
Good. Good.
So we're speaking
Yeah.
about love letters with Voyage Home. This season has a new character named Majel, who's an awesome way to honor Majel Barrett, who amongst she was Laxana Troy, but she was also the voice of the Enterprise. And so you enter a legacy of ship's voice. You in this season, you are also the Voyager A voice.
I'm all the Starfleet computers.
You're all the
Yeah.
Infinity, and
Yeah.
so you were speaking how you thought about Gillian's voice through the computer. Did you work these different ships' voice differently?
Well, we did whenever we started recording season 2, and I went in as the computer. It's very subtle. I mean, there's not much acting you can do as a computer. However, we did make it a slightly colder. With the Protostar, we wanted it to feel a little warmer because the Protostar became their home. It was like the start of their family. And so the Protostar has a little bit of warmth to it, the computer voice. And then as we moved on to Voyager and the other Starfleet computers, we just made it's very similar. I mean, maybe you don't even notice a difference, but when delivering it, we took a little bit of the warmth out and just kept it very computer-esque. But with Gillian, obviously we wanted warmth in that, because it's not just a computer talking, it's translating for her. So we wanted to give her a smile when she spoke, so it's a computer, but it's her emotions coming through with the translator. So kind of like, when you hear, they all have the universal translators, and as they're talking, their emotions and, their voices are actually coming out with the translator.
As their voices, yeah.
As their voices.
Oh, yeah.
So with Gillian, it's like when it's that weird sweet spot. Like she's underwater, doesn't really work in the same way, but it's still her voice, but going through the universal translator, through the computer. So there's like a couple of levels going. I don't think that answers your question, but maybe
It's
No,
fine.
it does. No, I think it does.
Yeah.
No, I think it does. And if I'm being completely honest, I know I noticed that the computer is actually in this season of Prodigy just more straight computer.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about how
acknowledged. Yeah.
it's you were playing a little warmer, in season 1, but no, it's just very it's very just Star Trek. It's very Starfleet, and I think that's a good thing, because as these kids grow up and they're on the bigger ships, that's what it should be. So I actually did notice a difference, which I think is really cool.
One of the best compliments I get, well, it's a weird compliment because you could also say it as an insult, but a lot of my friends, especially who are Trekkies, will watch the show and watch, the first season. They started the second season, got through a few episodes, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sad you're not in this season. I'm so sad they blew up the Protostar, yada yada." And I'm like, that was my voice. That's my voice there. That's my voice. And then they go back and listen, and they're like, they don't even realize it because it's such a computer voice. It just, you know, you don't even remember the computer saying like acknowledged, you know, it's like
Right.
unable to comply, you know, you're like, oh, it's just part of the world. And, you know, and people who are actively listening for it will not hear it. And that's actually a compliment to me because it means I'm doing my job. It means I'm not standing out and like, you know, it's like, oh, this computer who sounds a lot like Bonnie Gordon, you know, and I'm blending into the world and a part of the world building.
Yeah. I want to get.
And I'm
Oh.
also like quite a few other characters, by the way. I'm the Orion bridge officer throughout the whole season. She's also in the very first episode who calls in on Murf, like gives Murf.
I
the little
noticed that
tablet.
in the credits, and like I didn't even
Yeah.
realize. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm the bullion, the pregnant bullion.
Oh, the pregnant
mother.
bullion.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, she's not pregnant anymore.
Not
She
anymore,
gave
no.
she gave birth pretty quickly. I was like, well, that
Yeah.
was fast. It didn't even last an episode. She's just like
It's the
holding her baby.
future. It goes so fast.
It does.
Yeah, it just pops right out.
Yeah. Imagine.
The future is now. You get a baby. You get a baby. Anyway.
Please, no more babies. I have too
No.
many already. And by too many, I mean two. I want to get off of Prodigy for a second because you've just been busy conventions, appearances, just everything that you do, which is all amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
We got to briefly say hi at Trek Long Island after you performed at that amazing drag show that they did. It
That was
was
fun.
fantastic.
And I saw you at Bacon also.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
saw you. Yeah. And I'm about to see you all in like a week.
Yeah, in Vegas. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time we're recording this will be out, I think, when we're in Vegas. So that's actually kind of cool.
We're recording from the past.
Talk about the future is now.
It's the
Tiny whiny.
future. Yeah.
So it really seems like you just don't stop. But I wanted to just ask if there's been a particular convention or show that you've done recently that really stands out.
Oh man. I will say, you know, I'm so excited that Creation is doing the regional conventions now because everyone who loves the big, you know, who wants to go to the big Star Trek Las Vegas convention and can't get to them, now there's other conventions by the same company that they can go to. And Creation has brought me along for all of them as an official MC and host.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yay.
so I'll be at Star Trek Dallas, Star Trek Nashville, Chicago, Jersey, all of their regional conventions that they're putting on through 2024 and 2025. And what I loved was Star Trek San Francisco was kind of their experiment for it back in March. And we were all just kind of like throwing a bunch of noodles on a wall and seeing what sticks. Like they were very open to letting me kind of experiment and like, you know, oh, it's opening ceremonies. I'm going to write a song specifically for San Francisco. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And they were like, whatever. So they kind of gave me free reign to play. And I came up with this idea because I'm a jazz singer to create like a holodeck show where it's the Holo Lounge. And it's one of the late night shows where, you know, you don't want to go to bed yet, but you still want to party, but not like rave. You can go to the Holo Lounge, and instead of visiting Vic Fontaine, you get Chick Fontaine. And I do about an hour and a half of jazz standards. And I also mix in my nerdy parody stuff. But like we keep it we had like cool lights everywhere. There was a dance floor, there was a bar, so people could grab cocktails, sit at a table, drink, and mingle while like, you know, Fly Me to the Moon was going on. So I did a bunch of, you know, jazz standards everyone knew, but then I also Trekified a lot of them. I did, of course. I have a new one that's My Heart, instead of My Heart Belongs to Daddy, it's My Heart Belongs to Data. So little things like that, you know, where I'll make it about Star Trek. And it was just the most fun. And we didn't know if it was going to be a hit or not. I was like, I don't even know if anyone's going to come to this. And it was packed, and it was so much fun. Everyone was dancing in costume, having a wonderful time. And so they're letting me do that at all the regional conventions. So if you guys are going to Nashville or Dallas or Chicago, Jersey, any of those, I'll be doing a full Holo Lounge act. And now like we kind of know what works and what doesn't, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So that one stood out to me for this year because it was kind of like an idea that I had that I didn't know if it was going to work, and it was so much fun and went better than I could have ever dreamed.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I just love, I love all the cons. I'm a big fan of the small sci-fi fantasy conventions. The smaller ones, they're more intimate. You get to know everyone on a more personal level. You get to come up with weird panel ideas that you could normally not do at like a larger con that has to stay, strictly with their formulas. So I really love, I'm doing a con in Pittsburgh this upcoming weekend, and then Star Trek Las Vegas, and then I get to do so many different types of conventions and styles of conventions that I just love to meet. There's Trekkies at this one. There's fantasy nerds at this one that know me from the Quest. At this anime convention, they all know me from Street Fighter and Fire Emblem. So it's so cool to see everyone knowing me from different things and playing with that and using my strengths and talents to provide programming that's different than what they've normally seen.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome.
After the critical success of season 2, there has been like a lot of hype in that about possibly a season 3. If Netflix was to renew the series, are you excited to be back on the Protostar? And do you have a particular direction you'd like to see season 3 go in?
Oh man, well I know for a fact the Hagemans have already like thought, between the Hagemans and Aaron Walke and the writers' room, that I know I keep saying them over and over how just brilliant they are, but I mean they went into this show with a plan of like 5 seasons, I think, knowing it could get canceled at any time. So wanting to have each season tell a complete story and then end with a segue to another story, and hoping that if it does get picked up, then they expand upon that. Because when you think about it, season 1 could stand alone.
Yeah.
Season 2 can stand, so they're like different chapters of one large book. But if you stopped reading at that chapter, you still get a sense of fulfillment. But I'm not fulfilled. And I also love work. So we're really hoping. The fans have been so incredible by watching, live tweeting, posting on Instagram, TikTok, social media, Facebook, tagging Netflix, hashtag.
Recording podcasts.
Recording podcasts. Yes. No, this is what we need. We need the word to spread, because even though within the Trek community, the word is loud, we're no Bridgerton. So we need to make sure Netflix sees we can play with the big boys. And I think the fans have really, really put the work in. I mean, just, let's be honest. The reason why we have a season 2 is because of all of you. Because once Paramount Plus, canceled season 2, it was like kind of a, we're like Oliver, the little orphan boy, going like, please, sir, can I have some more? Like, anyone, who would buy this wonderful TV? Oh, I'll workshop that. I'll fix that. But it got to the point where we're just kind of like, well, so please something happens with it. Like, what are we gonna do? Put it up on YouTube? Like, what do we do?
Oh my God.
And Netflix, really, I think, took a notice when the fans rented a plane and flew a banner all over LA with hashtag Star Trek Prodigy, specifically circling Netflix headquarters, a little extra. And I think they were kind of like, okay, well, this obviously is, obviously people, or at least, some crazy people want this. And it worked. And because of everyone creating this buzz about the second season, like, I'm really hopeful for a season 3, especially since Netflix knows the audience is already there. It'll continue to grow as people talk about it, as cons throughout the year talk about it. And, right now Discovery just ended, Picard just ended. We have Section 31 to look forward to. We have more Strange New Worlds to look forward to. Starfleet Academy, but some of those are going to take some time. They're in the process of shooting, could be later in the fall, could be next spring. So you get these, if they want the buzz, like, let us start working on season 3 now. Like, we're ready.
Yeah.
And I would love to play more characters. Absolutely. And I know I would love for, something to happen to the computer. In Star Trek, you always have something where like an alien race, takes over the computer and speaks to them through the computer, or the computer becomes sentient for an episode, or
Or
you know,
the computer does pranks to everybody in the animated series.
That's right.
It's a
That's
jerk.
what they need to do this one again.
yeah, so something like that, I would love for, if they want to just keep me, more so focused on being the computer, I would love for the computer to have an episode where everything goes awry and the computer gets to just go nuts. That would be a blast. And also just to see where all of these characters that everyone loves go. Now we have we get to my favorite character from the beginning has always been Rock Talk.
Oh,
But this
Rock.
yeah, Rock Talk's always been my favorite. What a sweetheart. But I love what this season arc did for Zero. They had such a great character arc when it comes to feeling and emotion and romance and the fact that they were able to get a body and then had to sacrifice that. I always said Prodigy is so special because you get this group of kids, basically teenagers, characters that are all different sizes and shapes, all different types of alien species. They all look different. And also you have different genders. Being Medusan and non-corporeal, they go by they, them. They don't go by he or her. And they just mention that in the first episode and then never, say it again. They're just like, I'm non-corporeal. I'm not a he or a she. And then they just always speak of Zero as they, and it becomes so normal that now kids are, it's a great way to introduce that to them, that whenever they meet someone in the real life that is non-binary, they can be like, oh, it's like Zero. They are not a he, they are not a she. They are non-binary. So I love that it introduces concepts like that to kids at a young age, without being like a sex ed class or something.
Right.
I just
No,
love that
it's very
normal.
palatable and natural, right?
Yeah, it's very natural, and with the way our society is going, where we're learning more about gender and sexuality every day, that is going to be the more norm of everyone just coming into their own and being their own person, and introducing kids at a young age to using verbatim and words and pronouns in different ways. It just makes it so much easier for them to grasp when they get older, when they start, and it might also make them realize things about themselves.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
that again went way off. I can go down many different tangents. Tell me a path to go down, and I'll do the opposite, but eventually get to the same path that you wanted me to go on. I'll take the scenic route. Yeah,
Zero's arc was absolutely fantastic this season.
absolutely.
Loved it.
I felt like they all had such great.
They did. Yeah.
Arcs. I love that Gwen finally got that relationship with her father that she's always wanted.
That was kind of a standout for me, and that was like seeing
Yeah.
like what that relationship could have been like for her, and that with that if her dad hadn't been so twisted by his failures.
Yeah. Well, war, anger, death, grief, rage, all of that changes a person, and it just shows how different he was before all of that took effect. And now you get to see what the relationship, yes, what you said, what could have been, but also what now can be. Because now that they've kind of, spoilers, fixed the situation where, they can kind of work towards a path of peace instead of civil war on their planet. It means that their relationship can actually grow, even though it, the path has been changed, but for the better. And now he's able to become the person that he was technically always meant to be before all the hatred and pain caused him to become the monster that he did turn into.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Timey-wimey again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's wild.
A paradox, a most peculiar paradox.
Yes.
Get a little Gilbert and Sullivan in here.
Oh, love Gilbert and Sullivan so much. Bonnie, this has been a ton of fun. I would have you on every week to talk Star Trek, honestly.
Okay.
You host.
Yeah, you're a host now. You're a
Okay.
new host. Yeah.
And then everyone's gonna be like, mute Bonnie.
No.
There she goes on her tangents again.
No,
They
definitely
muted
not.
me only once, so
I muted you once.
I think so.
Oh, I did because it was for fun though. I think
See?
I was
Only
I was
once.
joking around with Kelvin verse stuff, and I was just like mute.
Yeah, you can't do that now that I'm on the show.
No, well, I could just mute both of you. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
No,
Do you
that.
see what's going on, Bunny?
Yes.
Yep. It's
Viva la
called
revolution!
Kelvin verse erasure. No, listen, it has been an absolute blast. Like
Thank
you
you.
said, Pittsburgh, you're going to a convention soon. You're going to be in Vegas. What else do you have coming up? Plug away.
Oh
Where can
gosh.
people
Oh, okay.
find
I'll
you?
plug. Well, you can find me all over social media at Bonnie Bell G. That's X, Twitter,
We still
Instagram,
call it
TikTok,
Twitter,
Facebook.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just Twitter. Like, call it whatever you want. The app formerly known as Twitter. But I'm on all of those at Bonnie Bell G. You can find my Patreon at Bonnie Gordon. Find my music at Bonnie Gordon. Find my comedy music at Library Bards. I'm pretty Googleable. You can just search me. Hopefully they've taken those arrest records off.
Yeah.
just kidding. And then, but yeah, other than that, I have obviously all of the creation conventions coming up. I believe we're still talking, but I think I'm gonna be doing Starbase ND in November.
Oh, cool.
As well, out in Indianapolis, and then that's Thanksgiving weekend. What I'm really excited about in December, if you're in the LA area for the first half of December, I'm in a musical called Die Hard the Musical, where I'm playing Holly McClain,
Great.
and it's hysterical. And we're putting it up for a few weeks in LA, and then flying to the UK and performing it on the West End in London. So I'm going to be on the West End right around Christmas. So if you're in the UK and looking for something to do before Christmas, come see me in Die Hard the Musical.
We need to talk about this for a second. How excited are you to be on the West End? That's insane.
I'm kind of slightly freaking out. Well, if you're going to be at Star Trek Las Vegas, which is when this episode comes out, so woo, timey-wimey. The Thursday night, we're doing a big Trek Does Broadway for the gold dinner, the VIP gold dinner. And it's, of course, Anthony Rapp, Wilson Cruz, Celia Picardo, Nana. I mean, it's everyone. It's
nice.
Christina Chong. So many amazing actors who have been on Broadway and, who do these amazing musical acts. And then I've somehow snuck onto the bill to perform a few songs because I made the argument of, I'm going to be on the West End in December. And they were like, oh, in that case, I'm like, I won't tell you what I'm doing. It's Die Hard, the musical, but, it's not quite as exciting as Rent, but it's exciting for me.
That would actually make me go out to a theater for that.
Listen, I am a die-hard fan.
See what you did there.
Watched Die Hard like hundreds of times, though I have never seen Rent. So
there you go. Okay, then this musical is for you specifically, just you. God. I expect you to be the only person in the audience.
I will be there.
It's really exciting, and I'm kind of still a little in shock about it. And the fact that I get to spend Christmas in London makes me very excited.
Oof.
If I find a Sherlock Holmes, I'll let y'all know. I'll also have some mysteries on Baker Street.
Nice.
I plan to have high tea with the Queen. She doesn't know yet. Well, I'll settle with the Prince.
There you go.
The royal family and we're gonna have high tea.
The royal family. I love it.
I mean Queen. I mean like the drag queens of London is what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna all have high tea.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, I think that's ManhattanTransfer.tv. There's a new sci-fi series that we're planning on shooting, I guess sometime in the fall or spring. That is the entire city of Manhattan gets abducted by aliens. Doug Jones is in it. Tim Russ, Casper Van Dien from Starship Troopers, Dominic Keaton, John Billingsley, myself. It's basically all Star Trek and sci-fi actors in it. So we're supposed to be set to shoot a pilot soon. You can find more information on ManhattanTransfer.tv. And that's all I got to plug. as of right now. Other than that, catch me at a con. I'm like, catch me if you can.
Yeah, right.
Catch me if you can.
Oh, I would give
I
you
mean-
the button, but I'm not going to give you the
You're a con artist. We all know that. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's not me. That's funny.
That's the title of my album.
Yeah, I know. That's why that was like, hey, good. Well done.
However, my whole goal of my new merch was mixing Trek and my personal branding. So I do have a shirt that says "Con Artist"
Nice.
that I'll be selling. Yeah.
Well, hey, we will see you in a couple of weeks at Vegas. Looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun. And you could see Bonnie or hear Bonnie on Star Trek Prodigy right now on Netflix. Keep watching it. Keep getting those numbers up. Bonnie Gordon, thank you so much.
Live logs and proper.
Live logs and proper. We are going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we will be talking about episode 205 of Star Trek Prodigy, Observer's Paradox. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, guys. And man, Bonnie is just awesome. She is great people. It was a pleasure to have her on the show again. Just so much fun.
just boundless energy, right?
Yeah.
Listen, at Bacon, she would sing like people at the beginning were just like so quiet and like so, focused. And then we were like four of us like singing the song and creating mayhem. And then like after like two songs, everybody was singing. She's also a great like stage presence, and she works a crowd. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
She really does. She's awesome. We will have to have her on again soon. Right now it is our review of Observer's Paradox. Our order tonight is going to go MC, Hawk, followed by Giraffe, and myself. Let's do it. Give the salute.
I'm after Hawk, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. This is another kind of not filler episode, but kind of like a
transitory.
Yeah, transitory. So there's some talking points we'll try to get through, but not a whole lot to talk about in this one. It starts with a debrief of Dahl and them all going on their crazy timey-wimey adventure to not save Chakotay and save Gwyn instead. But yeah, they get like the good cop, bad cop, even though you don't really hear any questions by Janeway. Super lighthearted, fun, but it does result in the kids being in trouble and having their movements restricted around Voyager. Maybe some questions about whether they are good enough to become Starfleet Academy cadets. What do we think about this opening scene and the consequences, MC?
Well, first of all, I love a debrief scene. They're always funny. The one that really I remember the most is from Firefly.
Yeah.
Which just kind of reminds me of this one. And it really brings to the front that these are just dumb kids. And they're being, they spent an entire season on their own. Like, yes, they did have hologram Janeway, but hologram Janeway was always just kind of a guide to them, not really a authoritarian. That's the word I'm looking for. Meanwhile, with Admiral Janeway, oh my goodness, is she authoritarian? And when you're confronted on doing something wrong, they come off as so young, and it's so sweet. And this scene, I think, there would be, you don't really need to justify bringing the Doctor in because the Doctor is great and Robert Picardo is always great. But for this scene, when he's getting in the way of all of them trying to get out, I mean, absolutely perfect. The Doctor is the absolute perfect person to do that.
Yeah, 100%. Nice. Hawk?
So a couple things. Like, first up, that image of the Voyager hanging over the wormhole, and that this is why I love the show, and that it's like the way they play with the scale of the ship versus that, and it just looks beautiful. Great opening shot. The debrief was hilarious, and that always kind of brings me back to like the interrogation scene and The Usual Suspects, and that just like cut over to the next one. Except with them, it's great. And it's like, and as far as that authoritarian Admiral Janeway, and that she gave Dahl coffee with sugar in it.
It's true.
Yeah,
That is true.
Yeah. Like give coffee to the kids who are already a problem.
Yeah, right.
Make them more
Janeway is-
hyper.
Janeway is both good cop and bad cop, just in one.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Rock's answer was great though. That I was just doing my room and not doing my I was supposed to.
Is this
Just
gonna
throwing
go on our records?
the rest of them under the bus. I love that. And yeah, it does remind you just like how much they are kids thrown into this situation. Yeah, hit it,
Giraffe,
Giraffe.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I loved it. I thought it was super fun. Again, that's what I was saying before we recorded. I think like I've watched this season, I think now 7 times, but I binge it. So I have like so much difficulties to remember which episode is which and where they start and when they finish. I tried to rewatch Rust One for the podcast and I end up at like episode 11 and I'm like, ah, wait. But I think it's great also to see the dynamic change, that yeah, now you have to answer to somebody and you have to answer to Janeway,
Right.
and I like that. Yeah, good cop, bad cop, more coffee. Don't give coffee to kids, you're just gonna have problems. I think we should blame the whole season on coffee.
I love coffee though.
I know.
Yeah, but Dahl on coffee, I don't know if that's a good
No,
Uh,
idea.
it's just not a good combination. No. I just like this scene for listen, Bonnie was going off about Zero and Rock, and I just like wanted to be like, I fell in love with this guy this season like so much. I just love what he's just like, I'm done with the nice, and is just like full on like Jacob's back, baby. It was so good. It actually, even though it's more comedic and they're in trouble, it did give me Such Sweet Sorrow Part 2 vibes at the end when they're all getting interviewed by the Admiral, and you have like Una just like doing her registration number, and it was just funny. Like, I loved it, so I thought about that immediately. Great way to open the episode. Moving on to hell with our orders, because doll gonna doll. Murf obviously knows something because he's been talking to Future Man, who we know later on is obviously Wesley, but it looks like
I thought Future Man was supposed to be Archer.
Well, we just don't know who. Like, I feel like Wesley is Future Man. Like, I feel like this season said it without saying it. Of course, we could be wrong. I don't know, but I like the fact that Wesley might actually be Future Man.
That's kind of cool,
right?
Yeah.
So obviously Murf knows something. The gang minus Rock, because Rock's like, I want to have nothing to do with you guys. Like, I'm in cetacean ops. Like, don't mess with me, please. So the gang minus Rock want to try and figure out if Chakotay is trying to get in contact with them. But the doctor has got to become their shadow every time they try to leave the room. He's there. He's like, have I told you about my latest Hollow novel? It's so good. But so in order to shake him off, Zero asks him about one of his latest Hollow novels. And of course, he, goes off and they're able to escape the rooms. The gang try and get the Universal Translator to work on Murf, albeit unsuccessfully. He starts talking about like hot bananas and disco and all this. What did we think about Banana Murf, MC?
First of all, that mention of disco, I'm saying that Murf was talking about Discovery,
Oh,
and
100%.
we just didn't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, in the first talking point, I talked about Ricardo and how perfect he is, and I seriously loved like this is how that they distracted him, because that is exactly the thing that would distract the Doctor, and Zero being the one to do it. I really like that because it feels different for Zero to me. Like, I could see Doll doing it. I could see, if Rock was there, I could see Rock doing it. But those are the two that would stick out to me to do the distraction. But having Zero do it, it's very, very cool. And then also having Rock not go along with all of this. And I think that sets up an interesting arc for Rock over the season, and that's how she really wants to be the perfect Starfleet Academy hopeful. And we have learned time and time and again that Starfleet officers do have to have some gumption. They need to, step outside of the box. That's how Captain Kirk became the, prototype of the greatest captain because he did have that cowboy diplomacy going on. And Rock is trying to do everything by the book. And I think as the season goes on, she does kind of learn that you can't do that.
Yeah, fair. Hawk?
Same with all that. Robert Picardo is like the best worst slash like babysitter slash jailer because
Jailer. Jailer.
Jailer,
like he can be in multiple places at any time. He's not mean. He's just so annoying that they just run back into the room screaming and that they don't want to talk to him. I love the little reference in that when Zero's discussing the Holo novel, Love in the Time of Holograms. Shout out to Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, the way Rock is kind of that first time that Rock is kind of wants to set aside the family and that in pursuit of what she wants to do in that, it's not just Starfleet, it's that pursuit of science. She's fallen in love with it, and Starfleet is that avenue that she can pursue that, to across the galaxy. But not if they get thrown into the brig and that, or if they keep defying orders that she won't even get into the academy. So yeah, I love that it's a slight little conflict in that, that kind of puts her on the outs with the found family.
There's no conflict in Star Trek, don't you know?
No, what? Everything's all peaches and cream. Yeah. And yeah, that they come together in that to figure out what the hell Murf is talking about, because they can't do it alone. They need each other. Yeah, I love the scene with Murf, and that it's like it was the standout comedic pick for me for this one. That busted ass translator that Jankum made, and that basically just malfunctions and starts feedbacking as Murf is running around screaming out random words. Bounce, disco, hullabaloo.
Hullabaloo!
Hullabaloo!
And I love that he's like so thrown off by it, right? He just like runs out of the room like a total mess because he has no idea what is going on.
He's like a cat when you try to put a sweater on them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Good.
Giraffe.
I think they should have given them like the Delta shift treatment, put them to work, put them like to clean the holodeck.
Holodeck filter.
That would have kept them occupied. Like they're trouble. They're gonna don't leave them idle. Idle.
That's okay. I know what you meant. Yeah.
And also I think the doctor is the wrong choice to
100%.
do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how he has like so much attention deficiency when he's a hologram and a doctor, but like we know he's gonna get sidetracked. Like, come on. And I like that it's Zero. For me, that makes sense because Zero is most probably the most literary one, I'd say.
Maybe most grounded as well. Like,
well, we
The
would
one who
be
could
able to
probably
discuss about books. I
Yes.
can't imagine. I can't imagine Dahl doing it. I can't imagine Jenkum doing it. Definitely not Murf.
I don't think Jenkins read a
Rocktack.
single book in his life.
Yeah,
I mean,
Rocktack's
in the
more
holodeck
science.
episode, doesn't Zero have like a murder mystery holodeck
Oh
program?
yeah.
Yep.
So that makes sense. And I totally understand Rocktack. For me, between being able to do stuff in citation ops and I mean, I know the hunger of like research, wanting to know and wanting to be able to, check a theory or read things about people who did the same thing than you before. Like I know that I would have totally dropped their shenanigan also. I'd be like, no, excuse me, I have things to do. Like the hunger for learning and for knowing, and I think for Rocktack that's more interesting than whatever shenanigan they're doing. Also getting into the academy is something that will let her do even more that I don't think she wants more trouble or she wants more to be a captain or she wants more adventures. Like she wants to be with the whales
Yeah.
and study cute stuff, which really relate to that. I really respect that. And Murf becoming a minion. Listen, we've always knew that that's what he was gonna do. The only thing that really makes me laugh is how come that we are on episode 5, so like it's the 25th episode of Prodigy, and just right now we're trying to know what Murphy's saying.
Right. I was
Oh,
wondering
mhm.
that
I like
too.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because now we're treating Murph like an actual like sentient being. When Murph was in Murph 1.0, Murph was a cute pet. That's why
Yeah,
we're
but
trying to understand
he's
Murph now.
been kicking Romulan butts for like 10 episodes now. Like
I mean, they were pretty busy during the last half of
True,
season 1.
true. But like he's also like an academy hopeful, and he's in the academy, he's like taking classes and nobody knows what he's saying. Like
Mm.
But he could shoot a phaser really well.
yeah, that's all we need to know.
Yeah.
That's good. Nobody
Starfleet, baby.
noticed he was naked until the last episode of season 2 anyway, so
Yep.
it's all good.
Amazing. I can't really add to that. You guys hit all the subjects. I do love that they put like I said, like putting a communicator on him and then him just like spazzing out because he doesn't understand what's coming out of his mouth. I thought that was hilarious. Let's move on to Gillian the Whale, played by Bonnie, who comes in clutch. So obviously I just said they were unsuccessful trying to translate Murph, and he just runs away. So of course they go to their friend. They ask Rock for her help as his xenobiologist, and Gwyn does a really good job of kind of like using the whole "you're the best xenobiologist I know. We really need your help," and it works. So she realizes that Murph might be able to be understood by Gillian, and we see another Murph metamorphosis as he turns into a Murmurf in the water, and then Gillian translates Murph, and they get the coordinates to whoever's sending this mysterious message. Thoughts on Murph becoming a Murmurf, MC?
Excuse me, it's Murph made.
Murph made. I like Murmurf. Murph made works too.
Yeah. This was so great. I mean, Murph made or Murmurf, whichever, is the superior Murph. Like, I know there was a lot of debate in the first season when we had the Murphomorphosis, where people like Slug Murph. But I mean, yeah, no, he's just not even adorable. He's beautiful.
Yeah.
With the tail. And I just love this because we've known cetacean ops was a thing since I believe like 1987.
Yeah, with the Enterprise D Technical Manual, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only been in Prodigy and Lower Decks that we've actually gotten to see cetacean ops. And with Lower Decks, it's always been a joke. And, it's the dolphins that are trying to get people to, jump in the water with them.
Yeah.
Horny belugas.
I was trying to keep it PG.
Yeah, I know. I might have to cut that. We'll see.
Yeah, but now we actually get to see Gillian as a scientist and Rock working with Gillian. And it works so well with what Rock as a xenobiologist and just bringing in, we've talked about it being the voyage home, and tying it now into Murph. It's now not just this is something that makes the ship run. This is something that's actually going to make the plot go forward. And we find a reason for it because we don't really know anything about Murph's species. So it's like, oh, sure, why not? They, evolved from, water beings. That totally makes sense. And so they can communicate underwater, and whales have different ways of being able to communicate. Like, it's the Trek hand waviness, but in a way that doesn't really feel cheaty.
Yeah, nice. Agreed. Hawk?
This was an adorable scene. First up, again, another shout out to Bonnie and that for that beautiful little lilt she puts on Gillian's voice as translated through the computer and that. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
And the scene between Rock and Murf and that, because it kind of points out they have a bit of that special bond in that.
Yeah, they have a very special connection.
Yeah, and that Rock was the one who would help Murf get over it, and because Murf was apparently afraid of water, and so she decided she would take even cradling him like just a kid, like a kid you take into their swimming lessons for the first time. You do that 1, 2, 3, and boom, down underneath you go. Murf
And then they turn into a mermaid. So
Murf's transformation in that. You're right. They're definitely like you're right, MC, that they're they're definitely like formed from an aquatic species, I think. Although my head instantly went to like Murf must be able to adapt to any sort of condition, like water, maybe even harsh environments. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Murf is able to survive in the vacuum of space, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
He is.
Yep.
Yeah, he also ate
Didn't
a
he
wrench.
swallow? He ate a wrench. I think he actually swallowed a photon
A bomb
torpedo.
or something.
Foreign
Yeah.
torpedo, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he is indestructible.
But the transformation to Murf was amazing. It just looked beautiful. Yeah. Just absolutely beautiful scene.
Agreed.
I like how he was scared of water.
Yeah.
Because do you know that otters don't know how to swim, and you have to teach them how to swim?
really?
Yeah, their mother
Oh.
like teach them how to swim, and when they don't have moms, like the people at the zoo teach them how to swim. So that made me think a little bit like, and they're scared of water, like they don't want to get into water. It's very cute. So that made me think of this, and I thought it was cute. Murphy's officially a Pokemon at this point. At that point, let's be honest. Like
Yeah.
it keeps changing
Yeah.
forms. I like the fact I was not super into like Murph transforming, but I like the fact that it's a character that give them so many possibilities, because now we've just accepted that. I mean, it is like the giant robot of Prodigy. You can like transform it in anything. It can be a car. It can eat a photon torpedo. It can be a mermaid. It can kick butts. Like as you were saying, MC, I like the varnish of science because it makes sense, but also it's still a worm made of goo. And
It's
thing
just Murf.
the thing that cracked me up is that he scrambles all the letters. So we don't know if it's a whale who scrambled the letters or it's Murf. I hope it's Murf because the whale is here to do stellar cartography. So I hope she's not scrambling letters. But then they're just like believing that the numbers are in the right sequence.
That's
and you're like, but the letters were not in the right sequence. How do you know the numbers? And that made me I was like, oh, you're all very like trusting of whatever's going on.
Yeah.
But also it's for me, it's a missed opportunity to ask question to Murph, because I was like, ask him how he ended up at Samora. You want to know?
Well,
Like,
now they know it's an option, so they could do it again.
yeah, I want. Yeah, but we watched the whole season and we don't get to know Murph's backstory. I want to know Murph's backstory because
3.
in Preludes he couldn't speak, so we didn't get his explanation. We didn't get where he was from, how he ended up to Taslamora, and I mean, I really want to know. I want to know.
Do you think Murf even knows where Murf is from? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's possible. No.
I think maybe, but you remember something before the Protostar for sure. I mean, he's not a goldfish. I hope so.
Right. Yeah.
So even if he swims now, so I did think when like he went into the tank and Gillian started translating, I thought, oh, we're gonna get to know stuff about Murf. Nah, no, we get nothing. I get nothing.
That's funny.
See? So yeah, season 3, they need to give me some. It's like Ortegas, It's like we didn't get anything in season 1. We didn't get anything in season 2. Are we getting the Murf episode in season 3 and the Ortegas episode in season 3? Tell me.
the thing that I like the most about this, going back to what you guys were talking about, Hawk and MC, is like, well, even though Murf is scared of water, the minute that Murf does transform though and starts swimming, you can see how happy he is. Like he's like it's something he's like thriving at, and I think there is something to be said, even though maybe he can withstand like other environments. I do wonder if it is he does come from a water-based species, because he's just the way they animated Murf swimming and stuff just made me really feel like, oh, this is really like might be where Murf, because he's glowing too. Like maybe this is where Murf belongs. So
like a vampire in Twilight.
Exactly. Sparkles. No, I love this. My one gripe is kind of going to what Giraffe was saying about once they do get the coordinates, how does Gwyn breathe in space?
Yeah, that was
How
weird.
Gwyn? I think okay. Here, I don't think
Go
she
ahead.
was really in space.
Okay.
I think she was kind of like space and time, and like kind of like
Right.
tripping, and like her consciousness like is like woo.
She was
you know?
astral projecting.
Yeah,
Yes,
Maybe either
sure.
that or is like a pocket dimension, because we know like it's Wesley sending her the
That's true.
coordinates, and that
Yeah.
he wouldn't send her into the vacuum of space. So possibly, I say pocket dimension.
Yeah. No, that's a good explanation. But yeah, other than that, the Murf stuff was
Again,
great.
they trusted a worm in water. So
Yes,
They did.
I
Exactly.
Well, it all worked out in the end.
It did.
And Murf got whale hugs.
And Murf got whale hugs.
and,
That's all that
though
matters.
I was super stressed about rock tag. I'm like, I don't know,
How's she
her
gonna
in
get
water.
back up?
Yeah, I'm like, how is she actually make of raw? Like, we know she's heavy and very dense. I'm scared. Don't
Oh no,
put her
she
in
straight up
water.
sunk. Like
She
yep.
went like down,
Yep.
and I was like,
Yep.
Yeah.
She got a boost from Gillian.
Yeah, right. Just like boop
yeah.
up. Yeah. Let's finally talk about the very small B plot in this episode. Jellicoe. Oh no. Oh no. Very short B plot. It sees Jellicoe order Voyager to destroy the wormhole. Starfleet is just like, bare bones after everything that's happened between the Dominion War, the incident with the Protostar, and now the Romulan evacuation. He's just like, this is too much trouble. Like, we have to cut our losses. You have to destroy it. And I actually thought, I'll just say this right now, like, I actually thought Janeway was going to defy his orders here. But no, she follows his orders, leading to them, shooting it with a quantum torpedo, closing the rift. And it leads to a very moving scene with her and the Doctor. Because we see how much this pains Janeway. Like, has to come to the realization that she may not ever see Chakotay ever again at this point. What do we think about her reaction here and her conversation with the Doctor after MC?
Well, when I first watched this episode, it was really hard to care about this because it was such a small B plot, and it's like, okay, they're going to destroy this thing and this is going to have absolutely no effect on anything because they're done with this wormhole. But I cared about it because Janeway cared about it. Like, this season made me a JC shipper.
Oh
no.
Like, in a way that I didn't realize. It's like, oh, do you know what? Janeway and Chakotay really love each other. Or at the very, Chakotay loves her too. But you really see it, especially from Janeway's side. And that she's cutting off this chance to possibly rescue the person that she obviously loves. And being able to talk about that with the only person who has been witness to their entire relationship. And I think probably knows that there's more going on between them, because I don't think anybody on the crew knows that. Because I mean, I think even though they never said it, I think we've all agreed that yes, that Janeway and Chakotay
I think they very much, when they reunite and like they're holding each other, even though there's no kiss or they don't come out and specifically say it, it was very much implied. I think the Hageman, and I think Kate Mulgrew at a convention in Germany a couple of weeks ago, like confirmed that they were in fact together. So yeah.
I mean, the Hagemans like kept saying to everybody, "You'll see in season 2. You'll see in season 2.
Yeah.
You'll see in season 2." And I'm like, I saw nothing in season 2, my brother.
Yeah. That's funny. You said brother because they're brothers.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain today.
There are two of them.
There are. Anything else? MC, you good?
I'm good.
Hawk?
This kind of brought up like an interesting point for me that the Janeway we're seeing here is like not the same Janeway from Voyager in that, where she's basically Odysseus and like answerable only to herself and to the crew. And she was, one, like she was always the one in charge and making the decisions, the tough decisions and that. Now we see her basically like having those decisions made for her by others. If it was up to her, and that she wouldn't have given up, she would have figured out a way to go back in to that through the wormhole to try to find Chakotay. But now we see her, and that response, she's Starfleet, and that decision was taken from her, and it was painful watching her walk away as them destroying the wormhole was undertaken. I love the talk with the doctor, and that it's that the fact that when a door closes, a window opens. Little cliche, but at the same time, it's very much true for Star Trek. It always seems to be, if one way doesn't work, and that there is another way. It's about faith and hope, and it's a nice little message.
Gotta have faith.
Did you say it's faith of the heart?
It could be. Been a long road.
Sharing a brain cell. Nice. Giraffe.
Yeah, I really like seeing Admiral Janeway, to be honest, because I mean, yeah, we've seen Captain Janeway lost in the Delta Quadrant, being by herself, doing what she thought was right, and I like the conversation that she has about like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Blah blah blah. It's an interesting side of the character that we've not seen so much, but we're like, what, 10 years after Voyager came back? So we all know like how you get like chiller
Yeah.
when you get older, maybe. But I like the fact that she obeys the order, even if it's clearly not what she wants. And we see the same deliberation later in the season with Chakotay, when they're like discussing when Jellicoe tells them to not go, that they cannot go. And they have the same conversation, like, should we do it, should not do it, like, and they still end up doing it. But I think it's just interesting, the character arc and the growth that they give also legacy characters. She's an admiral, she just cannot go and do whatever she wants. Especially in the situation they're in. But yeah,
it's Bonnie
it
brought
surprised me.
Yeah, no, same.
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie brought up a really great point earlier, talking about like how this show, so many people might just write it off as being a kid's show, but like I watched scenes like this one where they destroy it, and then you like, the animation this season was just gorgeous. I mean, it always is, but particularly this. But Bonnie also said, like, you watch for a few minutes, and especially this season, you forget that it's animation for a second. And I really felt that with this scene. Like I was looking at Kate Mulgrew, I was looking at Robert Picardo, when they were having the scene, to MC's point, like, the two people that, he's the only one on board who's, witnessed their whole relationship. It just felt very real, and to Giraffe's point, like getting to see this side of Janeway where she is, she was in the Delta Quadrant for 7 years, and she's come home to a very beaten and battered Federation, a scared Federation, a scared Starfleet, and she has to kind of deal with the fallout of that. And in this situation, like, in sacrificing a very important relationship to her. It's great writing. It was beautifully acted. I loved it. I absolutely loved this scene. And to the point, yeah, I wish we got a little bit more of this, because it was so just kind of like shoehorned into this episode. So, yeah, really good. Final thoughts on this one. We'll go in reverse order. Dreff.
It's a good transition episode to what happened next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hawk?
Yeah, if like, I know it's a transition episode, but at the same, when you rewatch it the second time, it feels a lot deeper than that. And I think that's kind of been the hallmark of the writing this season, and that it's, as a kid show, it's a lot deeper.
Yeah, 100%. MC?
I want them to make a Murf maid.
Yeah, that's your job. You gotta
I've
make
tried
Murf.
making Murf. Murf is really hard.
Oh, okay. Oh man, you should try though. It looks so cool.
I know.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's a good transition episode. Like I said, I think my favorite part actually wasn't so much like the Murph stuff and trying to figure him out, but the stuff with Janeway and the wormhole and the Doctor. It was really a great beat in the episode. We have one mailbag. It is from my +1 live audience in the room tonight, Dana, aka Trouble, who wants to read the mailbag.
I can if you want.
Hit it, Hawk.
All right. So Trouble wrote, this episode was super cute, but I found it more of a filler episode. I love the showcasing of cetacean ops, and Gillian the Whale is a nice little nod to everyone's favorite whale movie. Sorry, Brendan Fraser. Ooh. All in all, it was a cute way to show off more about Murph's species and his newly formed toes.
Murph toes.
Murph toes.
Oh, thank you for that mailbag. That is gonna do it for this one. We will be back with we're getting there. This was episode 6, right?
This is episode 5.
This is 205. So we will have
We've done a 4th.
Yep. So imposter syndrome is next. That's the holograms episode. Oof.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
That's gonna be one to talk about. We will be back with that one next week. For Draft, for Huck, for MC, I am Julian. Live long and prosper. Sarcastic Vulcan salute. Mujram. Good night.